Passing Priority. This is Jacob Van Linden, and I'm being joined by Brad Bonin, Kevin Jones, and Gerard Fabiano. This week we're going to be talking about Modern again. There's just a big Modern tournament here last weekend. There was an IQ. Did all of you guys play in that?
I did coverage.
Kevin did coverage. Now I remember.
I think only I played it.
I watched from home.
Gerard played and won the IQ that happened this weekend. It was very exciting for everybody involved, especially him as the winner.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So he played Teamer deck.
Yep.
Last weekend that he's been working on for a very long time, but we're actually not going to talk about that deck today. We're about to jump right into a segment we like to call Trash or Treasure, and this is where we look at different Modern decks that are popular or have buzz around them, and we talk about whether or not we think those decks are good or bad, so we call them Trash or Treasure. The first deck we're going to be talking about this week is Grixis Control. Now this deck took second place at the Modern Challenge that just happened on Magic Online. This is a deck that's been championed by Corey Burkhart for quite some time, but this is not a deck we've really seen do well at tournaments, and yet I've played against it a lot on Magic Online over the last couple of days. What do you guys think about Grixis Control? I'm going to start on Gerard.
Alright, well, I think Grixis Control is a deck that is a nice deck to play, to say the least. I actually played against it today. The issue with Grixis Control is that it lacks a good 2-drop, and I think when you're paired up against certain matchups where you really have to kind of become the aggressor, I feel Grixis Control deck doesn't really allow you to do that. There are some builds that do play Tasigur, and Tasigur, if you are playing with Tasigur, that could be your 2-drop. I wouldn't really consider Search for Iskana a strong 2-drop to put pressure on the opponent. Overall, I'm not the biggest fan of the deck. I don't think Search for Iskana is
Search for Iskana is not an aggressive 2-drop. He is right about that. That card is everything but aggressive.
Overall, I would not play
literally
Grixis
can't find
Control.
creatures.
I just think that, I mean, honestly, I didn't like Corey Burkhart's list. I don't like 4 Kolaghan's Command and 4 Cryptic Commands. I think that's what he was playing. I think it's just too many commands, and you don't want that. I don't know, but I play a different style. If you like Grixis, you could try it out. For me, I don't really like it. I'm going to say the deck is trash. If you are thinking about playing a control-type deck, I would rather see somebody play like a blue-white control deck or even like a blue-moon deck over Grixis. So I'm going to say trash.
All right. I also am going to say trash, but it's close. I think there's a lot of powerful cards in the deck. And the one that top 8 the challenge, did it have Young Pyromancer in it? Or was it...
It did not.
It was the Burkhart, like, 8 commands version?
There were 4... I don't think there were 8 commands, but there were
like
4
6 or so.
Snapcasters, no other creatures.
Yep, and Jace's and Search for Iskana and all that.
Jace's. I think
Okay, yeah, I think that deck is considerably worse. I think the versions that play Young Pyromancer and or Tasigur are good versions and better at doing what Grixis has to do. So basically, I don't want to take too long on this, but I think that Grixis is the kind of deck that is the color combination that plays the most like a traditional Delver strategy, like a tempo-based deck that would be like, kind of dipping, ducking, losing ground in some areas, like maximizing mana efficiency, stuff like that. I think that's how Grixis strategies work. And if you want to be a hard control deck, I think you're better suited to play Jeskai, blue-white, or even like a straight blue-red deck with like the Through the Breach combo in it. Because the Grixis cards, a lot of them are very cheap and a lot of them are cantrips. And that type of strategy leads you to like eventually flood. So you need to close the game within like a reasonable time period because you flood without any real payoff for flooding. Like the Jeskai decks will flood and then Sphinx's Revelation and bury you or what have you. But like so I think it's trash just because people are trying to push the archetype in a direction that is not naturally suited to go. But I think that those cards are powerful. So I guess that's my take on it.
I mean, this card was playing... I mean, this deck, the deck that came in second place in the Modern Challenge was playing Cruel Ultimatum.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw a couple
that
of lists with Cruel Ultimatum.
Yeah.
I think Cruel Ultimatum is not great for the deck, but of course I could be wrong.
Yeah, I was just posing Cruel Ultimatum as a counter argument to what Kevin was saying, where
they have a way to catch
payoff
up
for flooding.
That is a payoff.
If you're looking for a payoff for flooding, Cruel Ultimatum is probably a pretty good payoff.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you can play basically anything you want in Modern.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do here is give you the best suggestions on what you should try to focus on.
Yeah.
So I think myself and Kevin are saying, you know what, Grixis Control might be a deck that could win a tournament, but rather than spend your time on that, there's other decks later on that are going to be treasure.
I think a phrase that is a good one to use when talking about the shortcomings of Grixis is the phrase closing speed, which is like when you've been able to like curve out and remove like the majority of your opponent's early and mid-game interaction, you need to have some sort of way to close the game, and Grixis often struggles to do that.
I think
think
Jace
that's
changes that in
probably
some ways, for what it's worth.
Yes, I do agree with that though.
Brad, what do you think about this deck?
I think this deck is trash. I think this deck is a hard trash, and I think that the reason
Hard trash.
I think the reason
Gas
is because of all of the like 4X Snapcaster decks, Grixis is probably the worst version you could choose to play. You don't really have the closing speed of getting to play like 6 to 8 lightning bolt effects like from Jeskai. You don't get to play Field of Ruin or Spreading Seas like the 2-color decks. You don't get access to Blood Moon. You don't really get to play with the early game you want to play along with the top end of Planeswalkers that the other color combinations may give you. You're just playing a lot of colors. I don't know. I also just think the cards Remand and Cryptic Command are like laughably bad right now. Like, if you're trying to not do something busted and linear and modern, I don't really know what you're doing. Like, you're kind of not playing the same format as the top tables.
Well, some of the decks do play the Field of Ruins. That's what I've seen.
Do they play Field and Creeping Target?
They normally do play Field and Creeping Tar Pit.
That is
and
ambitious.
normally, there are some decks that don't play Remand. They play Logic Knot instead.
Sure.
Most do not
or-
play Remand at this point.
Yeah.
I think Remand is much more of a tempo card.
It's either
Yeah.
Logic Knot,
Yeah,
Mana
I
Leak,
don't
or
think-
sometimes like One Negate, some combination of that.
Sure.
So
Remand is in like the
I just think if
blue
you
red breach deck, and that's like it.
if you
Yeah.
look at the top decks
Yeah, it's
in
a
Modern
tempo
right
card.
now,
It's not a
right?
control card.
The top decks in Modern right now are like not
The-
degenerate, but hyper focused decks. They're like
And they're very
Bogles,
aggro.
Humans, Tron. Like
Humans,
you're not
Boggles,
gonna, yeah.
and the other one is Black Red Hollow one is
Yeah.
one of the most popular decks.
And Tron too. Like
Yeah.
you're telling me your Inquisition of Kozilek and like draw step Kolaghan's command strategy is supposed to just beat Tron lands like ever? No,
Never.
you're a big
I mean,
blue based
these
control
decks
deck.
are not playing target discard. Like,
They're not playing any Inquisitions either.
like
They normally do play
they
Inquisition.
play some number of
Yeah.
Inquisition, but it's not like they're like an Inquisition Thoughtseize deck. Like, these decks are
like 3 Inquisition, no thoughts.
yeah, these
Okay.
decks are control decks. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go against all three of you here and call this deck Treasure. I decided to just play this deck in a league for fun, 4-1 very easily. The matchup I lost felt horrid, but
What was the
you know,
matchup?
Dredge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good
Yeah,
games.
Like, couldn't really do much. But
You
I could have
4-1
changed the
every league.
sideboard. I 4-1 every
really
league,
does.
basically, no matter what. So, like,
You know how many
But-
tickets I've lost because you said I 4-1 with this?
really?
I lost
Yeah.
all my tickets.
Really?
with-
World of
with the
Virtuoso
outfit.
Control.
Really? That
Oh, dude, I 4-1 and 5-0 with that.
Dude, I went like that's so funny.
I was crushing
because
with
I
that
went like
deck.
17-3 with that
Yeah,
deck.
I believe it. I just
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
played
was
it.
doing fine with that
And I
too.
think the best I did was 3-2, and then I just sold.
Oh,
And
no.
then I bought everything. I had a lot of tickets, and then I resold it for like 40 tickets less. Plus, I lost like 3 leagues. So
Oh my
We,
goodness,
we
I'm
like
sorry.
we like
It's
4-1,
okay.
4-1, 3-2. Took that to an open, and Morty like 11-3 to seat with that deck. That
With what
like
deck?
blue red control deck.
Jacob Van
Oh,
Leeuwen
no.
World
We played
Virtuoso
no
deck.
creatures
okay.
in the main though, but like we probably took Jake's deck and made it worse, and still had like a 75% win rate with it.
Yeah. So, one of the reasons I want to talk about Grixis Control this week is because it's a deck that hasn't really gotten talked about, that now has some buzz. And I think that this is a playable and strong deck that suits itself very well to the draw-go playstyle. So, those of you who've been playing Magic for a very long time, you're probably used to hearing the term draw-go once every couple of years. And this is a deck where you're able to just play your land, do nothing, and say go to the opponent. The deck's biggest problem, like you guys said, is it's bad at closing. And this is a deck where, traditionally, the style of play that you're playing is bad at closing. I don't think this deck is necessarily just a worse version of Jeskai or a worse version of Blue-White. I think this deck is much better against the aggressive creature decks than the Blue-White decks. I think if you're playing against something like Humans, or if you're playing against something like, one of these Eldrazi decks, or you're playing against, basically just like any sort of tribal strategy, this deck is much better than the Blue-White deck. And that those are, areas where the Blue-White deck generally does well anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The deck is also just better against combo strategies than the Blue-White decks or the Jeskai decks are. So the deck, while it is not necessarily as good against decks that have longevity, it's just a good deck, and if people want to play Draco, I think this is a great deck for them to pick up. I think it's a pleasant surprise.
When Jake was talking, I was just thinking back when I was playing a league with the Grixis control deck, and my
You
opponent
played
just
with
yeah, I actually played with it before,
Yeah.
and my opponent just played Karn, and I was just like, all right, and this turn Flash and Snapcaster Mage, and it was just so bad. The Tron matchup was so bad,
Yeah.
it was insane.
Well, I mean, the Tron matchup for that is better than a lot of other control
You got
decks. Like,
Dreadbore. That
like,
card's
We
great.
don't get to play like 4 Cs, 4 field though.
Well,
Yeah.
no, you do play Field of Ruins, and then in the sideboard you could play Fulminator
but
Mage.
like 2 field, right? Not 4. I don't think that deck
I
can
think
support
most of the lists
4.
were playing like 3 or 4 fields, to
Really?
be honest.
Okay.
I saw 3.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but the Grixis decks, I think their route to beating Tron is like a more classical. You only have so many threats in your deck. I'm going to counter all of them.
Yeah,
And that's what they want to be doing
I
post-board.
understand that.
I think they're a ceremonious rejection deck. And I don't think... I think a lot of the decks that are playing ceremonious rejection aren't really like built to take full advantage of that card. And this is a deck where you can really be like, you know, rejection your thing that matters, snap rejection your thing that matters, and just have like an abundant amount of ways to just counter everything the Tron player does that matters.
Yeah, I do like Simone's Rejection. It's a good card.
Yeah, that card's
Yeah,
good.
good.
I tried to do that with my Grixis Delver deck against Tron, and they cast World Breaker like 4 times.
Well,
and after
Grixis
the 4th
Delver
time,
also-
I just like gave up. I'm like, I can't do it anymore, man. I'm sorry.
Well, Grixis Delver just like has like a lot fewer lands, right? And you have
Yeah.
less counter spells.
My
too.
lands got Ulamog a lot. It was
Yeah.
real not great.
So, yeah, the next deck we're going to be talking about is Gift Storm. It's a deck we haven't talked about for a couple weeks. It's a deck we talk about every once in a while. So Junda's on the decline. These decks that are playing target discard, backed up by, you know, efficient threats. We're not seeing as many of these young Pyromancer decks these days that are like that. Do you think that this is an opportunity for Storm to start doing well again? Or do you think that Storm is still a deck that people should really be waiting on before using it for a big tournament?
So I guess I'll take the lead on this. I think that Storm is a deck where you basically make a checklist that has 2 bullet points on it. Am I going to play against humans? Am I going to not play against humans? And if the answer is B, play Storm. And if the answer is A, don't play Storm. I think that Storm is like favored against pretty much all of the decks, or at least even against almost all of the decks you'll see in Modern right now, and then literally can't ever beat humans. It's like 1090. You like auto concede game 1 to a meddling mage, and you're really going to struggle to win post board. They have like infinite disruption. So if you're playing a 15-round tournament and you think you're going to play humans 5 times, don't play it. If you think you're going to play humans twice, play it.
Yeah, I think Humans is a really bad matchup for Storm. I also think the Black-Red Hollow One deck has a good matchup against Storm as well. It has a really
Sure.
fast
It
clock.
can, yeah.
And Collective Brutality.
Yeah,
It depends
Collective
on its draw,
Brutality,
yeah.
Inquisition, and of course you could like sideboard more cards like Surgical Extraction or whatever the case
Yeah,
may
okay.
be. I think Storm is a good deck. I think Storm's pretty easy to hate it out if you want to hate out Storm.
Yeah.
So,
But Grave Hate's like at an all-time low right now.
yeah, it pretty much is. Overall, Storm's a good deck for sure. I mean, I think it's a treasure deck, like Brad was saying, but it does have its issues against humans, against Black Red Hollow One. There's other decks out there that Storm will probably struggle with as well. But, you know, it's another deck. I mean, Modern is so wide open that any deck could do really well, and you never know what you're going to play against. You know, I just 5-0'd a league tonight with my Teamer deck, but prior to that, I went 0-1 drop in multiple leagues because I don't want to waste my time grinding out whatever. You know, if I lose round 1, I'm just like done.
Dude, 4-1 is the bread and butter though.
Yeah, but it's like I don't have time
4-1
for that. I
isn't
either
worth
go
your
for the
3 hours,
5-0
though.
or
I think
I'm
it
done.
is. Profit margins.
If I'm
Profit
like
margins.
Kevin, if I'm 3-0 lose, you just drop.
Oh, that's loose. No,
You know?
but if I'm 0-1 with Tron or Burn, I'll play it out. If I'm 0-1 with a deck that takes 40 minutes to play a match, I'm going to the next one.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Do you know how many
Drop
times
from
I
league?
Yeah, just
start?
drop
If
Oh,
I'm going to play
I
4
don't.
hours
Yeah.
to finish my league, yeah, I'm done.
I don't drop at 0-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, neither do I.
Oh, I
I just play.
Oh,
This is
really?
how you
I
live your
drop.
life.
if I'm
I'm
0-2, I'm usually either switching decks or changing like 10 cards, so that's why I drop at 0-2.
Dude,
That's like
wait,
the,
Brad, really
the reason
quick?
why you don't
Alright, yeah.
succeed in Magic the Gathering. Is
The
because
reason why I
you
don't
drop from
succeed in
league to
Magic the
0-2.
Gathering is because I play like 4 Grand Prix a year and I don't like
Brad.
kill myself to go to everything every weekend.
Brad, I kid you not, today I went 0-1 in a league. I dropped just to change an op to a search for his contest, and then I went 5-0. So, true story.
Yeah.
Just to change one card, I dropped. So,
I'll
You
at
guys
least-
make me
I'll at
sad.
least play a second match if I'm tinkering with a deck because I want to make sure I only want to change the one card.
oh, that's fair. That's fair.
So
But
Kevin,
like,
would you also do
Treasure for Storm?
Treasure for Storm?
Eh. I think it's certainly gotten worse. I think it's still Treasure because it's a really good deck. I think that it's a deck where the majority of the people who play it know it at least well enough to play it, if that makes any sense. So, like, the floor, like, Storm has a relatively high floor to operation, so, like, people who don't know how to play the deck just won't do that, because they realize this to be true. I think it also has a really high ceiling to operation as well, but I think that you can operate it at a, like, competent level in that meaty middle area, and I think that the people who play the deck at like 80% efficiency or 80% optimality, those people can do well. So I think Storm is still treasure, yes, but I do think that it's gotten worse. And Bearded Dragon team guy and Caleb Shearer prodigy Paul Mueller is a Storm guy.
Also Caleb Shearer.
Also Caleb Shearer, sure, but Paul has came to our recent IQ, and his performance was rather lackluster, so I figured I'd get the needle in while I had the opportunity to get the needle in.
What was his record?
I think he went like 1-3 or 0-3 drop.
And then, like, did he play against humans?
I assume so, because he can never win, right?
Well,
I don't know.
The death knell for, like, the top operators of Storm, I think, is the Logan Nettles Mox breakdown from this weekend. Paul is, like,
that.
talking to Finkel, and Finkel says he has, like, a win rate he's not happy with Storm, so he keeps putting the deck down. If Finkel's not happy with the win rate of a supposed Tier 1 deck, I don't know what else you're supposed to do.
I think the best Storm player in the
It's
world
Finkel.
right now is Josh Taylor. He's probably tied with John Finkel.
Josh Taylor.
Josh Taylor is a wicked good Storm player.
Big JT.
I don't believe that anybody not named Kai Buddha is tied with Finkel.
Oh, that's true. So maybe it's Finkel, Kai Bude, then Josh Taylor.
Well, I don't know. I don't think Kai's good at Storm. I don't know if Kai ever played Storm, but
Kai is literally good at anything really to match it.
Sure.
Kai is great.
Yeah.
I got leveled by Kai at a Pro Tour once. It was
you only played him
awesome.
once?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get leveled by him every time you play him.
I've only played against him once too. You've
Really?
probably played against him a million.
I've played against him a million times.
Yeah.
He
You
used
ever
to,
beaten him?
He used to stay at my house, and like when we would test for Pro Tours back in the day, he would like
He
sleep
used
over
to
and stuff.
go to like Union and Belleville and stuff.
Yeah, like all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember like you guys like showing up at like a draft once when I was a kid and you're like, guys, you guys draft?
Just Kai's here, no big deal.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Yeah. So all right, so first deck we voted trash, right? 1 to 3, Grixis Control.
Yeah.
Second deck we're right now 2 to 1 with Storm. Jake, what do you think?
I actually think Storm is trashy right now.
Ooh, okay.
This is a deck that I really like playing Storm.
Yeah.
Occasionally, it's a deck that I can't play like over and over and over.
I certainly don't, but
Yeah,
I
it
respect
gets
you.
brutal. But you know, when you get the matchups where it's really interactive, those games are really fun. So I'll play a league with Storm every couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I played a league with Storm and I did not 4-1. I think
Oh, no.
I think I just 0-4'd.
Wait,
Just straight 0-4.
Did you
Like,
drop
at 0-3? I played another match.
Did you
and
drop
lost
an
again.
0-4?
Deck is confirmed
I
unplayable.
think I did drop an 0-4, yeah. But I've played a lot of Storm over the years, and like I fancy myself to be a reasonable Storm player. And yeah, Storm did not feel good. I played against humans twice.
Yeah.
Jake's,
So you just like started 0-2.
Jake's in the queue, and he's just waiting for like 2 hours because there's no other person who's 0-4 in a league.
He's
You know,
waiting
maybe
for
I'll
me to get
drop.
home and log onto Moto.
No, sometimes you're 0-4 in a league, and it's like
You like get snap paired with a 3-0.
Yeah.
So one funny thing about that anecdote is that if you play a lot of Magic Online, you'll know that when you go to drop from a league, it says type drop in this box
yeah.
to proceed. And every time I do that, it asks me to do it in capital letters, and I just don't have like the emotional fortitude to capitalize the word drop. And I just type it in lowercase and hope they let me drop. I'm just like,
And they never do.
I'm like defeated.
It has to be caps.
I'm defeated at this point.
No,
I
it's
can't
not.
capitalize.
It automatically changes at the caps on mine.
And let me do it. And let me do it
Oh,
lowercase.
yeah.
It didn't used to let me.
No, for me, if you just type drop, it automatically appears caps,
Okay.
even if you don't have cap locks on.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else
You
thinks
guys
that's funny, but
clearly
it's
do
just
not
amusing.
drop enough. I know after the 0-1 drop, so I got it down.
That was fun.
I mean, I dropped from a lot of leagues yesterday. I think I played 19 matches, and I think I won 7
Did
of
you
them.
finally cut Devoted Druid from your deck?
Oh, dude, I played an 0-2 with Tron, a 1-3 with Devoted Druid, a 4-1 with Devoted Druid, an 0-3 without Devoted Druid, and like a 3-2 without Devoted Druid. Dude, I played it all. Played Moto for like 7 hours. It was not great. Lost like $80
That's okay.
because I bought and sold all those decks in one day.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
We were going to talk about Grixis Shadow next, but we've talked about that deck ad nauseum at this point. You know, we've like beaten it like a dead horse.
Yeah.
And instead, we're going to be talking about Black Red Hollow One at the end here.
That deck's
but
good.
right now, we're going to be jumping to Bant Company. This is a deck you guys streamed last
Yeah,
week.
We love this deck.
This is
Yeah,
a
this
deck
deck's
that
fun.
I've heard a lot of really, really good Magic players say that they believe this to be like the deck right now.
Jerry Thompson likes this deck right now too.
Yeah, and Jerry's usually got his finger pretty
pretty
close
good,
to the pulse of what's going on in constructed formats. So, what do you like, Kevin, about Band Company?
So the things I like the most about the deck is that I really like the position of Knight of the Reliquary and Voice of Resurgence in a metagame that has been, I guess, injected with a different sort of dynamics with the Jason Bloodbraid unban. So both Knight of the Reliquary and Voice of Resurgence are good against the card Bloodbraid Elf. Knight is often bigger than it. Voice of Resurgence can block it with some incremental value left behind. And both cards are good at protecting Jace the Mind Sculptor. So those are just two little anecdotes about it. But I also think that like the card Spell Queller is a constantly underrated Magic card, especially in Modern. And I think that I just really like how the deck can shift roles from like a green like mid-range board presence deck to like almost like a Delver deck when you're leaving up company or Spell Queller, so that you can react to what your opponent's doing in the best possible way. You can even do that with Knight of the Reliquary, where you can leave up and go get Ghost Quarter in response to a removal spell and Ghost Quarter yourself or something weird like that. Like, you can do a whole bunch of tricky things. And I'm further enlightened to, like, the power of these two cards when I teamed with Todd Stevens in Cincinnati, like, 2 weeks ago or last week. And he played, like, the green-white company deck. He wouldn't even add blue to his deck. And he just won, like, almost every round.
Well, his deck
he just played like Knight of the Reliquary, and his opponent couldn't win. It was absurd.
His deck is a lot different though, because his deck's playing like 4 Ghost Quarter and
the
extra land drops package, the lands from graveyard package, and Mind Sensor. Like his deck is pretty heavy on the strip mine element. A lot of the other decks are playing like the 1 Ghost Quarter with maybe a second one in the sideboard or 2 main sometimes, just as part of like the Knight Tutor package, and it's not really plan A. It's like break in case of emergency.
I know for sure. I just Knight's good, and that was another representative of how Knight's good. And I also think that one of the ways that people try to beat these decks is by loading up on spot removal or sweepers and just like pointing removal spells at every creature you see.
Yeah.
And they're like when you play turn 1 Noble Hierarch, your opponent's like trained to kill it. So when they spend like the first X turns of the game like killing your creatures, and you play Jace the Mind Sculptor and they have 1 to 2 cards in hand, like it's just a great spot to be in for your deck. Like it's awesome to follow up removal spells with Jace from the other side of the coin. I think I've kind of talked about that dynamic a little bit too much in the past like 2 months, but I do think it still holds true. So yeah, I think this deck is treasure. I think a lot of the cards that are in the deck are really well positioned. Scavenging Ooze is another one off the top that I think is in a really good spot right now. And that's basically it. I just think it's great. I think Gavany Township is also a super underrated card. Yeah, treasure.
Yeah, I think Band Company's good. I actually played against a deck. I thought it was Band Company, but it turned out that it was a 5-color Bring to Light Kiki Jiki deck.
That's a horrible thing to not know is going to happen.
Multiple people lost playing for top 8.
Yeah, and I won game 1, and then game 2, my opponent was on the play. He went turn 1 Arbor Elf. I was like, land Serum Visions. And then he goes turn 2 Utopia Sprawl, Jace the Mind Sculptor. And I nearly beat him, but then he did the Restoration Kiki Jiki combo and I lost. But that's just like pretty sick to get a turn 2 Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah.
Restoration Angel is a sweet magic.
Yeah, and like the Arbor Elf Utopia Sprawl interaction that's
is really good.
From the it's kind of been
deck?
picked up from the Ponza decks and it's being put into other things. I think people are kind of realizing that like the Ponza decks like just aren't necessarily that great, but that Arbor Elf Utopia Sprawl interaction
really
is nuts.
You just get to like have a permanent like Lion's Eye Diamond.
It's absurdly good.
Yeah.
Or a permanent Black Lotus.
Right? Nah, Lion's Eye Diamond. It's got to be legacy legal. Come on.
All right. Well, you don't have to discard your hand.
Yeah.
So I also think this deck is treasure. Kevin talked a little bit about Voice of Resurgence, and I think that cards like Voice of Resurgence, things like Kitchen Finks, Eternal Witness, and Voice, that all get you some type of incremental advantage when they're dying, happen to be really good in Modern right now. And like Kevin said, people are trained to sideboard a specific way when they're playing against you, when you're playing these kinds of decks. They bring in a lot of spot removal, and a lot of the time when your opponent's bringing in a lot of spot removal, when they're a Jund-type deck or something like that, you're able to sideboard out cards like Spell Queller and just bring in more value cards like
Tracker.
Finks and Tracker and Eternal Witness.
I was boarding Courser. Elspeth
Yeah,
Sims
yeah.
champion.
Corsair,
Like I
so
had crazy
just
things in my
these,
sideboard.
these like value cards.
Yeah.
And what happens is your opponent ends up sideboarding in all this removal, and they're playing this 1-for-1 game, and the game gets to a point where they have nothing left in their hand, and you have like 3 guys in play and 2 cards left in your hand, and you just feel like you can never lose.
Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons why this deck is so good is that it has a really strong game 2 and 3 win percentage right now because of how badly opponents sideboard against you. So
Reflector Mage is also insane.
That was
too.
what I was going to
It's
say
a
when I got
really
to do my
powerful
turn. I was going to say.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I
Yeah,
thought
so-
that they skipped you for some reason.
No,
Yeah,
I
sorry
just
about
no worries. So yeah, I've been playing this deck a ton. Been playing a lot of different modern decks like the last 4 or 5 weeks, and this is the first one that had the same like win rate as the 4-color Shadow deck that we handed to Morty, and he just like top 8'd a Grand Prix with it. So this is the only other deck we've had around a 70% win rate with since. Our win rate, where we have a turn 1 mana dork into a turn 2 and turn 3 play of anything that taps all of our lands, is like 90% on like 5-card keeps. Just like turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Knight, turn 3 Hellbent Jace. Just, we never lose. Obviously, we never lose with that, but like we go turn 1 Noble, turn 2 tapped Shock Devoted Druid, and they kill our Devoted Druid, and we still never lose. Like to the point where we've just put 8 mana dorks in every Coco deck we play from now on. Because it no longer matters how many cards are in our keep. It only matters whether we have a turn 1 dork. We have the humans matchup pinpointed to the point where whoever's on the play with a 1-drop always wins. Like, the deck is absurd, and I mean, you can play it at the level that I play it at, which is at best 80%, and still always win.
yeah. If you think that those numbers are actually correct, like, would you be considering maybe, in addition to playing Birds and Hierarch, actually playing like maybe some number of Avacyn's Pilgrim, or are you going to go that deep if it matters that much?
The problem is that you still need to maintain your Coco hits doing something. So the thing we were noticing when we were playing like the combo package, like with Court of Calling and Walking Bliss and all that other stuff, was we were adding a bunch of non-collected company hits to our deck when we had 6 to 8 1-drop dorks plus 4 Devoted Druid plus 3 2-1s with no text without Druid plus Cocos plus Chords. We had like 10 real cards to hit. So we've switched. We played like all value targets, and now our deck is like 8 1-drop accelerants, like 14 3-drops, and 4 Voice of Resurgence, and just 4 Coco.
Yeah.
And like every collected company is 5 or 6 mana worth of Degenerate, and you just like you get all of these busted Jace interactions. You get like Corsair of Krufix, Jace Brainstorm, put a land back on top. Now by Brainstorm drew net 2 cards.
Yep.
You just like Brainstorm back your bad cards with Jace, tap Knight of the Reliquary, and shuffle away the bad cards.
Tireless
Just like
Tracker's insane too.
tap Knight of the Reliquary, get a free clue off Tireless Tracker, go score to your own land, get another clue off Tireless Tracker. Just like tap Knight, get a fetch land, fetch, get 2 clues. Like double reset your Jace Brainstorm. Like all of the cards just work so well together, and your opponent's plan is like, am I playing a creature deck? Oh, I got double Reflector Maged. Darn. Am I playing a spell combo deck? I got double Spell Queller. Darn.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
just the fact that you basically just are playing like Mox Diamond. You're just like, yeah, turn 1 dork, turn 2, I like stole
I
back
like
the play.
that like your whole thing was just like you discovering that like playing Noble Hierarch and or Birds of Paradise. Like,
It's
no,
good,
no,
yeah.
but like,
correlates with like
I like his whole
winning
thing
a
was
lot.
that every card he compares it to him having to discard a card. Like Lions Eye Diamond's Mox Diamond. It's just Black Lotus and Mox.
dude, the Mox Diamond has a cost.
What's the cost? You're
A
not
card from
discarding
your
a card.
hand.
Yeah. No, Mox Diamond is 2 cards.
Yeah. Sometimes they bolt your Hierarch.
Doesn't
But
matter.
that's
That's still
just
in one card.
No,
That's only one
Yeah,
card.
sometimes they shadow your box.
Yeah.
This conversation's weird.
Yeah.
Alright.
But no,
So-
but I didn't realize that like turn 1 Birds is like, you just turn 1 Birds 3-drop is like almost always game winning, no matter what the text on the 3-drop is.
Obviously,
This
that's
is
not the case.
insane.
This is
It's
so
not.
far not the case.
Like,
turn 1 bird just literally does nothing.
Do you have
Most
Retreat
of
to
the
Coral
time, it
Home in
just
your
does
deck?
we are
nothing.
playing 2 Retreat to Horrorhelm and 4 Collected Company, and then Creatures and Lands.
No Path Exiles?
No
We-
Jaces.
We're playing 2 Jace, okay.
I would play like 3 Path
It's
Exiles.
it's like 31.
I would play 0 Path X.
No, we have no path, and we have 2 in the board just for Hollow One, because without playing it, we couldn't beat Hollow One.
Oh, but if you have 2 Path Exiles, you're definitely
I had
beating
4
Hollow.
Paths.
No,
my
but like
deck, and
the
I could
games
never
we'd lose
lose
to
to
Hollow
Hollow.
One would be close. They'd be at like 4, and they'd like bolt us or brutality us or find the exactly lethal Bloodghast or Phoenix, and the games were really close. So we felt like if we had 1 more removal spell, it would be good, and we were playing 2 Blessed Alliance, which is notably quite bad against the Bloodghast Flame Wake Phoenix deck.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you just play like Auriok champions in your board and then never lose to them?
You
They
can
just
still,
like fly over you.
you think that like they have the time to like do two while you're like, Coco, I'll gain 4.
The games I play against Hollow One, they never play a turn 1 Hollow One. They play a turn 1 Bolt and a turn 2 Escalated Brutality, and I'm just like on a 3-card hand, and I just like always lose those games. They don't like ever turn 1 Hollow on me.
I think you're boarding out Spellqueller and losing to Flamewake Phoenix, which is nonsense. You just need to keep Spellqueller in your deck.
Yeah, you just keep Spellcaller in your deck.
I board out Spellcaller against like Jund. I don't board it out against Hollow One every time.
I do board it out against Jund too. I think that's
you board
smart.
out Spellcaller against the decks where you know it's going to die, unless you need that tempo or you specifically need the flying blocker.
I don't even board all of them out against Jund. I just board out like.
But it
3
also
or 2.
totally depends on how my deck is built. If I have a combo and I'm playing 2 or 3 Queller, I'll more aggressively board them out. If I'm playing a value game, then just like the tempo of leaving out Queller and them either like brutalizing their own turn to play through it or just playing into it are both still good. So it depends, right?
So, I think we might be going a little too far down a rabbit hole on that, but we're talking about Black Red Hollow One right now.
All right,
We might as well talk about
let me
Black Red
start.
Hollow.
That deck's good.
Okay, so I literally built my Teamer deck to beat Black Red Hollow One, and I feel that I think I'm like 0-7 against it. And every single time I lose to it on Magic Online,
That's so funny.
it's always like I like win or lose game 1 or game 2, and then it's game 3, and they literally. There was a time where I'm like, all right, it's game 3. I go land, Seer's Vision, and I draw. All right, and my hand has an Obstinate Baloth, and then I scry another Obstinate Baloth on top. I'm like, woo, we're gonna get him. The opponent goes land, Burning Inquiry. I'm like, yeah. And I discard 0 Obstinate
And all your
Baloth,
lands.
and they put in 2 Hollow Ones, and I lose. It's just like these are the games I lose. Or I go and I play Tarmogoyf, and my opponent goes land, Goblin Lore, and I'm like, okay. And then
And
he
they
just
always
puts
have
in,
Big Game Hunter.
Well, he put in 3 Hollow Ones, but it just didn't matter because I had the Goyf. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like land, Seer's Vision, spreading sees your land, and then he draws like the black land that he needs, and then Big Game Hunter is my Tarmogoyf. So that like I feel like I lose so unluckily. But I'm literally, I think, like 0-7 against a deck. It's insane. And my deck is literally built to beat it. Like, if you look at paper, my deck versus Hollow One, you would be like, oh, you're like 80% Gerard. And I think I'm 0%.
Well, the thing is that deck is so high variance, the Hollow One deck. Like, I've had... The games where I lose to it, the games where I lose to it, it beats me so badly. And the games where I beat it, I just don't even know what it's like they're trying to like Bloodghast and Phoenix Man. I'm just like,
and he said it's not high variance. He's like, it's not as high variance as people think. That's
Who said that?
Nasif in his article.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the Logan Nettles post from this weekend.
He said Hollow One's win percentage was like 62%.
Hollow One's win rate was 62% as 12.2% of the field.
Tariq Patel played in the Mox.
Yeah.
It's an 8-round Mox tournament. He played Black Red Hollow One. Guess how many times he played the mirror match?
5, right?
6 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 times.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy.
I was looking through like who was playing what on Magic Online this week also, and Black Red Hollow One has some star power behind it.
My question is, how did people know what? Like, how did Logan know whatever?
So he posted about that. He spent like an hour or two. He basically loaded up every replay of games.
Okay.
Until both players had like played 2 turns.
Yeah.
And then based on like the 2 land drops and the thing, or if he needed more data, he like fast forwarded another turn or 2. He got the matchup, then the deck.
Yeah.
And then he just looked at the end result.
That we're on camera.
No. So it's Magic Online.
Oh,
so
okay,
you just watch the replay and everything. So he basically human scraped all of the data.
Yeah. I think the Black Red Hollow deck is very, very good. I think it's the best deck in Modern. And I think
it's better than Humans.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm saying the top 3 decks are Black Red, Humans, and then a mix.
Company.
Some degenerate linear deck. I think
I was gonna say
Bogles or Tron.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tron was 3. So, but regardless, I think that if you want to play,
you want
to call it green white hexproof?
I want to call it Boggles. With as much disgust in my voice
The
as possible.
card's name is Slippery Bogle. Boggles is the pluralization of a dice game that features letters on the dice made by either
It doesn't matter
Hasbro or
what you
Parker
call it. I'm
Brothers.
trying to give some advice. And the advice is, if you are going to play Modern, I think playing Black Red Hollow One is a very good choice and a very good deck to get into. I think it's just great.
Yeah, I think it teaches you a lot about like all the different things that you need to be thinking about in Modern also. So it's a really good,
really cool deck.
Really good deck to like get you prepared for all the things you're going to be having to play against and with when you're playing with Modern.
Yeah.
So I think it is a really good entry deck for Modern. It's also tier 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
So-
that it's probably
That's
worse than humans,
right.
but I think that like humans is potentially as hard as a deck like Amulet Bloom to play, and I think that this deck's floor is like Hollow One's floor is like absurdly high.
Yeah.
You like cast Burning Inquiry, you still put in a 4/4 no matter how well you planned out what you were gonna randomly discard, right? Like, sure, maybe you Fateless Looting wrong, but some percentage of games are just like, here's 8 power on turn 1, go ahead and play your top land.
Kevin, what do you think about this deck?
I think it's treasure. It's a really good deck. The times I've played against it, it's been utterly dreadful and literally done nothing. And I destroyed them. But, like,
That's insane.
Must be nice.
I've only played against it, like, a couple times.
How have you only played against it a couple
Yeah.
times?
Dude, I play
Because
against
I
it, like,
always play against
yeah.
it.
This is like the deck I play against more than any
Yeah.
other deck.
Okay,
I don't
really
play
quick,
Modern a
I
lot.
like-
Really
Oh,
quick,
okay.
tonight I 5-0'd, and I did not play against it. And that's probably
Whoa.
why
Why
I
you
5-0'd.
5-0'd? Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The leagues
Well-
where we dodge it and we get like the one affinity guy in the entire queue are the like leagues we easily 5-0, and the leagues where we like Marduk Pyromancer, Hollow One are the leagues where we like 0-3 drop.
I think that it's
I think
the...
you never easily 5-0. I mean, I think I only have 5-0.
Well, you easily
and I play
5-0
a
when you're
decent
playing a creature combo deck and you get paired against like Bogle's affinity, and then you're just like on the play the other 2 rounds.
amount. Whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I call this deck the Empty Boys. And,
The Empty Boys?
yes, I like that name.
It's- Instead
Why
of
call it the
Hollow?
Empty Boys?
I pirated it from the internet. Somebody called it that, and I like it. So I call it that.
Can you explain it?
I don't know. It's just
Hollow
like...
one.
Yeah,
people-
they're empty.
Yeah,
They're
the
hollow.
They don't
one
have
is
stuff in
empty.
them.
Okay.
They're empty.
And boys because like everyone's calling various things boys with an I on the end now. It's like the new thing. to
Kevin
do.
has really become in tune with 16-year-old lingo. He's been getting lessons from Morty. So
Okay.
I think that this is like 16-year-old lingo from like 3 years ago, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well,
the-
regardless, we don't care about the names, to be honest.
It's treasure.
It's treasure. Good, thank you. So
Empty
treasure,
boy.
treasure.
Kevin's so proud
So,
of himself.
last weekend, the Bearded Dragon had the 2K,
Yeah.
the Modern 2K. Gerard, you won the event.
There was 107 players.
Yeah, Kevin.
That's
And I got
Commentated.
first place, and I was very
It
happy.
was the coverage was such a blast. We had a ton of. I just want to like now that I have the floor again. I just want to
Yeah,
have
go
the
for it.
opportunity to quickly say that thank you everyone who gave us positive feedback, whether you gave it to me or Liz or somebody else. Jake and I both really appreciate other Jake, not this Jake of course, but
This
Jake
Jake likes
O'Connor
feedback,
who was my coverage partner. We both appreciate all the awesome feedback, and we're working to do even better next time. It was a super awesome opportunity, so thanks to Bearded and everybody to let us do that. Modern was super fun to watch, and the games were really interesting. And Gerard, the first thing we said after coverage closed, after the tape was off, it wasn't rolling anymore. We had done the winner's interview with Gerard. We just worked for 13 hours. I looked at Jake and I said, Gerard's deck is the worst deck I've ever seen. And he was like, yeah, I have no idea how he won that tournament. And then on my ride up to Boston, I thought about it, and I think your deck is actually great.
Oh, okay.
I think Spreading Seas is really good. That's-
Every time I've played with that deck, even though it doesn't look great on paper, I've been really impressed.
Yeah,
I won
Tarmogoyf
the
is really
Basket
good, and
tournament.
Spreading Seas is really good.
Yeah, some good- yeah, I put a lot of time into the deck, so coming to a tournament with over 100 players and winning first is a
Great.
nice feeling,
Yeah.
you know. Hopefully I'll do well in Hartford, but you can never count on it. You know, Grand Prix or big
Yeah.
tournaments.
Modern is just a really kind of a high variance format
Yeah,
to
so-
it.
You never know
We'll
when
see
you're
what
going to get
happens.
paired against Lord of Atlantis.
I watched Merfolk play against Boggles, and it was like the least fair thing I've ever seen. Because the Boggle just became larger and larger and larger, and his opponent just plays 2-2 every turn, and I'm just like, why are we watching this?
Somebody needs to draw a Rancor.
You're gonna have to teach me how to like make that matchup interesting because I was struggling.
You just got to fill the dead air with like sports.
Yeah, you just talk about
Talk about
like,
anything
what-
else.
You start the match by talking about what each of the decks wants to do in the matchup, and then you're basically like, okay, well, if the Boggles deck does not enact its plan, then the Merfolk deck has a chance if it does enact its plan, and if both decks do what they want to do, the Boggles deck is going to win, and that you like set that stage, and then sometimes the Boggles deck stumbles, and you're like, oh, here's the opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, we can talk about that when we're not on air
Yeah.
during our
Yeah.
show, but.
All right.
The
That
next
was
thing
cool,
we're going to
though.
talk about is how to win a tournament. This is something that I think we touch on occasionally, and we could talk about forever. But Gerard, you just won a tournament. For somebody who's never won, let's say, a tournament with over 100 people. I think all of us here have won tournaments that were over 100 people at some point in our lives. And what is it that
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've
One
like
of the
12
producers
IQ wins. Yes,
pointed
I've
at
won an
Brad.
100-man IQ.
One of the producers
Hater.
pointed at Brad and was like, "Have you ever won a tournament with over 100 people in it?"
Worse.
And it was just the best
Yes,
thing
I
ever.
Yeah.
that wasn't my intention with that. I wasn't trying to call anybody out.
No,
It was
I've done it,
so
it's funny.
funny.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
happened in real time.
I-
It was beautiful.
Uh,
As you were. Sorry.
But when you're trying to win a tournament, is there something like is there any sort of like ritual that you feel helps you? Is there anything that you think you have to do differently than just showing up and playing Magic?
I
Every
think
round?
Gerard's ritual for winning the event is to win every round.
He did. He didn't lose any rounds.
That would be my ritual.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a loaded question. How to win a tournament? I feel that to win a tournament, you definitely want to practice ahead of time, and then you just want to go into the tournament and play. You know, there was a Chinese fortune cookie. You know, and the Chinese fortune cookie said, "He who expects nothing is never disappointed." And that actually holds a lot of truth. So if you go to a tournament expecting to win, most of the time you're not going to win and you might be disappointed. So if you just go there, I remember I showed up and I was just ready to play. I didn't have my Daredevil and my boy over here, BOI, Kevin Jones, he gave me the Daredevil and I sleeved it up. And I don't know, I just played. It was a fun tournament, I'm telling you, and it's not just because I do the show for the Bearded Dragon, but the Bearded Dragon puts on good tournaments. They're fun. Most of the time they order like free pizza, and you always see somebody saying like, "Oh, how many slices can we take?" And it's always just like, "Oh, you take one," and everybody has it. So just having a good time at a tournament will definitely give you a better chance to win, and trying to be in good spirits. You can't always be in good spirits. Life's not like always being good spirits, And there'll be times where you make it to the finals and you lose, but overall, it's just you got to practice. I would say practice is really important.
I think it's yeah. I think that it's really sweet to see how hard everybody works when we have a big tournament here and everyone's running around and doing this and that to get everything set, and there's so much that goes
and Kevin,
on.
regardless of what you guys think, Kevin is actually one of the hardest workers here at the Bearded Dragon. Every time you need a card, Kevin's always like, "Yo, I'll go upstairs in the inventory room and stuff," and he's always like the first one. Or one of the first ones, so big shout out to Kevin.
But to win a tournament, I think there's a combination of you need things to kind of go right. A little bit of variance has to be on your side, provided that's a big enough tournament. You need to play well, of course. I think a lot of that is about understanding your deck, like Gerard said, practicing a little bit beforehand. I have a different feeling when I know I'm going to do well than when I'm just like, I'm just playing and we'll see what happens. Sometimes I win those tournaments too, but certainly less often than I win the tournaments where I'm like, oh, I know exactly what's coming in and what's coming out in each round and how to sideboard and what plan I'm approaching and stuff like that. I think that, to an extent, playing your own decks or your own versions of decks is a good way to, provided that these decks are positioned well, is a good way to win a tournament, because if you've, so much of winning a tournament is, sideboarding correctly and having the correct, role, taking the correct role and the correct approach to each match. And I think that if you have your own deck or your own version of a deck, you will often know exactly why each card is in there. And knowing exactly why each card is in there is going to help with all the incremental advantages that push your close 2-1 loss into a 2-1 win. And I think you need to get a lot of close 2-1 wins to win a tournament. So I think it's a lot about all the minutia and just, staying focused the best you can in all those situations. And don't tilt. Please don't tilt. That's the most important thing. Don't tilt. If you start 3-0 and then you're 3-2, don't tilt. I was 5-2 at GP Montreal, and I won the whole thing. I won every round after being 5-2. That surely shouldn't happen. That's very lucky, but it also involved keeping your head on straight and not tilting and stuff. So that's that.
So I think that there's one thing that you guys haven't touched on yet, which is that you have to show up. You guys kind of did, but you have to show up ready to win the tournament rather than ready to do okay. You can't take the safe choice sometimes. You have to be willing to go 0-3 or 7-0. You also have to be willing to keep the one-landers that only Gerard keeps, because some percent of the time he's on camera and he dies with no second land, and some percent of the time he draws 2 lands and rolls his opponent because he has, 2 more spells than they did. I think you have to make those decisions if your goal is to top 8 rather than to min cash it and top 32 or top 16 or whatever. I also think that
Well,
is...
wait, hold on. Just going to cut you off real quick. Are you saying that you have to keep loose hands to get there?
I'm
I
saying
think we
that...
talked about this last year.
Yeah, we did talk about it last year.
Well, this is a fun conversation because
Yeah.
I get to...
I'm not
talk about
necessarily saying you have to keep loose hands to get there, because if the hand is statistically bad, then over time you're going to win more events by playing statistically correctly than by hitting the lucky streak where you kept wrong and it worked out. But what I'm saying is, if you have this reasonable mid-range deck that you think is going to 4-3 or 5-2, and if you get a little bit lucky you'll 6-1, or you have this brew that's been testing really well, but you have no idea whether it's going to 0-3 or 7-0, but you know it's not going to 4-3. It's either going to be great or bad, depending on how many rest in peace are across from you. Sometimes if your goal is to win the tournament, you have to play that deck that's fragile but busted. You can't just bring Jund to every tournament if you want to win a lot of tournaments. But if you want to top 16 a lot of tournaments, play Jund.
See, I don't know if I buy into that. I think that there are a lot of people who played Jund at tons of tournaments who win tons of tournaments. But what I wanted to talk about with this section about how to win a tournament was allowing yourself to win. I think there are a lot of people who, in rounds 1 through 4, are sharks and are people who, when you watch them play, you would say, this person is absolutely capable of winning this tournament. And then once that person gets to the point in time where they're either playing for the elimination rounds or they're playing in the elimination rounds, a single mistake that they make at some point will lead them to believe that they do not deserve to win the tournament, and will lead them to, actively sabotage themselves.
That's a super good
perhaps
point.
Unconsciously, and it's something that I see time and time again when I'm watching Magic coverage, when I'm watching friends play in Magic tournaments. It's something that I have a lot of friends who have queued for the PT maybe a couple times, and something I'll see in those people, and when they've won PTQs, they've XO'd the PTQ. It's a time where they didn't make that mistake that led them to believe that they don't deserve to win the tournament. And I think that an important thing for people to remember is that even if you play badly for one round, it doesn't matter. You still deserve to win the tournament just as much as that opponent who may have, played perfectly every round or played brilliantly against you. When you draw the right card to beat them, make sure that you're thinking about how you can beat them, not how you can make yourself save face because you've played worse than your opponent in the round. You still deserve to win that match just as much as them, even if you played worse than them.
Yeah, and never give up too. That's a good one. I remember in Jersey, I started off 3-2, and I think this was the 6th round now, and I lost game 1. I mulliganed, and I drew my opening hand, and it was a one-lander. And I was just I could have just been you know what, whatever, keep, who cares? But I looked at it, and I was I'm just not going to get there with this hand. So I mulliganed to 5, and I won. And then I came back to finish at 3rd place. So, don't give up. Never give up. Anybody can give up. But that's the easiest thing to do is just to give up.
If you want to just give up, then you won't win tournaments.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's so easy to check out, I guess. Give up / check out is such an easy thing to do mentally. Magic it's so hard to win a Magic tournament. It's so hard to succeed in Magic that, it's so easy to be oh, well, I didn't draw well today, whatever. I'm just going to, get back to the hotel early, or, I'm going to go out drinking tonight, or, whatever. I'm going to go to dinner and not worry about it and, play another tournament tomorrow or whatever. But, you can, it's just so easy to, mentally decide that you're not invested anymore. Because if you do that, you can deflect, I guess, the pain of losing. You can deflect the pain of losing by being oh, well, I didn't draw lands, or, oh, I got another week to lock up silver anyway, or whatever.
Basically, what Kevin's saying is don't make excuses and don't justify what's happening or what could happen in the future. So anybody can make excuses and say, you know what, whatever. I had a bad matchup. Who even cares? I can't even whatever. Yeah, I agree. moral of the story: don't give up.
It's
play,
easier to
play your
yeah.
heart out. You know.
Own
Yeah, I think
your
that was a good synthesis
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
larger.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
easier to
Okay.
do that than
Own-
it is to be like, I messed up, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I'm in the spot I'm in.
yeah. Own your mistakes, but don't let them tell you. Like,
Or don't let you own your mistakes, but don't let your mistakes own you.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
good.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good.
Don't let
Yeah.
your mistakes own you. Don't let them define you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom.
I think it's important to own your mistakes once the tournament ends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Until the tournament ends,
No, I
think
played
it's good to
perfectly,
just-
like-
it's good to just like have like this like cocky demeanor, not necessarily outwardly, but definitely inwardly. Be like, yeah, I'm doing
I think
great.
if you-
like, even when you play terribly in my head, I'm just like, that was.
If you
fine.
realize that, like-
know.
If you realize that talking to like even the pros between rounds at like a Grand Prix, you'll notice that like all they're talking about is, did I mess this up? What should I have done here? Did I mess this up? Like sometimes they're just talking about life and stuff, but they also like, oh, do you think I should have done this round? And like, and these are people who are like platinum or top 8 pro tours and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, like,
Sushi at the 7-Eleven. Should I have done that?
oh, that's a mistake.
That's always
that's always a mistake.
Yeah,
But like
7-Eleven sushi
everyone
is
messes
03
up.
bracket sushi.
I don't even know if 7-Eleven serve sushi. Do they?
That's the
I
problem.
don't know.
I don't think they do. They don't.
Yeah. He's like buy it from like a guy in the back who's got a coat. He's like,
No.
You want some warm fish?
Let me that was my
They
dance
have, like,
move at a
the
wedding
pizza,
over
they
the
have
weekend.
The buffalo wings there. They have the mozzarella sticks at 7-Eleven.
Did they have that stuff that's rolled up? You never know what's in there.
Yeah.
The
the hot
taquito?
dog?
Taquito is great.
Hot
No,
dog.
it's something worse. It's like a quarter hot dog. I don't know.
Oh, I know. Yeah, chorizo.
Oh, I was talking about
That's
there's something
sausage.
called a tornado that's got
Oh,
like some
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of meat
yeah.
in it,
Yeah.
but they won't tell you what it is, and it might be human and it might be pig feet.
Yeah.
You never know.
That's good.
So I went to a wedding on Friday, and my go-to dance move was like spin around, open up my coat, like mime showing
And sell
people
sushi
all
to
the wares
people.
that I have,
Yeah.
and then dance around a little more and show the inside of my suit jacket, which had nothing in it.
The coat
To a
salesman.
variety of people on the dance floor, and
Yeah.
it went over well. That move killed.
Nice.
great.
Okay, good.
great. So
The guy with the coat.
we're coming to the end of the show.
Okay.
That was fun.
We do have a giveaway this week. Real quick before we do the giveaway, do you guys have a favorite spoiler? Just give me a quick hint, maybe 1 or 2 sentences about it from the new set, Dominaria, coming out. Is there a card that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, I think.
Karn.
Okay, so all right. Well, I was going to say Karn, so don't
Sentence.
worry. I think Teferi looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I could see blue-white control making a comeback. I don't know if the Teferi would be good in a approach to the Second Sons list, but maybe it will be. I don't really know. But Teferi looks pretty cool, so I'm going to go with Teferi as my card. And next week we're definitely going to talk a lot about Dominaria, since we're going to be 1 more week closer to the pre-release.
I think it's actually just a week before Dominaria, right? Next week is 1 week before, I think.
Well, like 10 days it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So that'll be our Dominaria preview episode.
yeah.
So my card is, and I'm gonna mess up the name. It's a legendary wizard for 1 red and a blue, and
Chora.
it's flying. No, it's flying in haste, and whenever you play an instant sorcery, it pumps all your wizards. It's like Azile or Alazi, something like that. I don't know. I messed it up, but it's sweet. It's like a small Manus Rider that is also a Monastery Mentor. It's great.
Not Monastery Mentor.
Whatever, man.
Swift Spear, you mean?
Yeah, whatever.
'Cause it
man.
doesn't make guys.
All right, that's fine. So that's a cool
But
card.
it's great. It's super up my alley, and I like it.
Okay.
It's got like super prowess.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, my card's Karn. Karn's a 4-mana planeswalker. It has like 6 loyalty when it enters. Draws you a card. The card might be bad, but it's just like a massive loyalty.
The card seems insane. Karn.
Yeah.
It seems really
How
good.
much are they selling Karn for right now? What's it going for?
25 probably.
25?
20, 25, 30 would be my guess.
Yeah, that card's going to be really
One
good.
of the cool things.
It's no
that-
I'm
Chandra.
gonna agree with Gerard here. I'm gonna say that I think Teferi in terms of like standard playability.
Yeah,
and the thing
standard
is that,
definitely.
like there's definitely a applicability for some of these cards in other formats, and who knows how things will shake out, how good they'll be. But
Wizards, bro.
If we're
Wizards.
just looking at standard, I think that Teferi to me looks like the Glorybringer of the set. You put it down, you essentially exile the card they have in play that matters, their Scarab God, what have you, then you just have a Planeswalker sitting there.
Or you can just
they
draw a
need to,
card and
yeah.
untap your lands.
Leave
Like,
up Essence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
That's
play
a
it-
really underrated
for
ability, I
5.
think.
Yeah.
You put it up to 5 loyalty, and then you also get to untap 2 lands. That
Yeah.
means that even if your opponent can somehow like fight through a piece of counter magic to like Glorybringer and attack it, it's still there at 1 loyalty, and then you get to draw another card in the next turn. Deal with and potentially leave up all of your mana.
Yeah.
So
You
I think that's a
untap
really
the lands
powerful
at the
card.
end of turn, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can't
So
like
you can use your spell.
plus and baffling end right away or anything like that.
You can't
But you
use
can
it as
use
land.
counter spells.
Yeah, it's not ramp.
Yeah. It's not like a Garruk rolled into a Jace.
Okay.
It's like rewind. You
yeah.
get your mana
No,
back
it's.
later.
I think
yeah.
it's sweet. I think you guys are sleeping on my wizards, and wizards are great, but
Just
whatever.
like your tribal pirates deck, Skyrits, that still has not.
Yo, I lost to Pirates on Magic Online the other day.
That doesn't mean it's good.
So we
I got
do have a
Lookouts
giveaway.
dispersal.
I need
Yeah,
to find
so
out
frustrating.
who it is who won the giveaway.
I don't think we pulled it yet. So if you did not enter the giveaway, enter the giveaway right now. Make
Yeah.
sure you guys follow us
Good opportunity.
on Twitch and make sure you comment in the Twitch chat or follow us on the Facebook page, like us on Facebook, and leave a comment there.
Yeah.
So that's something really good.
And while you enter the giveaway, we'll do the.
Oh, yeah. I
I
don't think you're doing the Jeopardy tune on key.
So
but,
Kevin, really quick.
Also, I'm
Wait,
winning a
okay.
tournament. I forgot to say this. This
Yeah.
is really important.
Okay.
So, the Rocky song. You know what I'm talking
Eye
about?
of the Tiger?
The song,
Thrill
no,
of
not
the
Eye of the
Fight?
Tiger. Just the actual Rocky theme.
Isn't that the Eye of the Tiger?
No, it's not. It's not Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger is a
actual Rocky
fire
theme.
song.
As nobody has actually ever won a tournament without listening to that song at some point during the 24 hours before. Like Gerard just won this tournament this last weekend, and I broke into his house the night before
and
that
played it while he was
tournament.
sleeping?
I just unlocked his window really quietly, and then put headphones on him like very gingerly and like pet his back while he listened to the Rocky theme. And then I took the headphones off.
I imagine
and
that
ran
these
all the way home.
pants
Yeah,
are
yeah.
like Cat
So-
Burglar 101.
Yeah, so especially if you're ever planning on scaling walls, it's important to wear loose clothing. It gives you, more grip on the wall that you're scaling. So if you have a friend that you want to win a Magic tournament and
What
you
are
need
we
to break into
teaching
their
people
room
how to
and
I love it.
You
Make
know,
sure you check
I'm
the
not
cameras
really
down.
too sure what Jake's talking about,
Yeah.
but we do have a couple of writing questions. So writing question number one from Johnny D.
Johnny
Florio.
Appleseed?
No, Johnny DeFlorio says, Kevin, at Kevin Jones, what was your most fun that you had doing the coverage last weekend here at the Bear Dragon? What was the one instance that was maybe on camera, you thought was the craziest play, the most fun? That's what he wants to know.
The best match
That's a
was
lengthy question.
watching you play against Lucas when Lucas was playing humans.
Okay.
That was the best match for sure.
Yeah.
And you both made a lot of sweet, really smart plays, and he was way behind, but still almost won, and in a spot where I didn't think he would be able to win, and then he kind of came back, and then you came back and won. It was just really, really close, back and forth match, and he made a lot of super smart plays, both technical plays and theoretical plays.
Okay.
So I was impressed to see someone who is a local who works at the store and stuff playing so well, and then of course you played well as well, and you managed to win a close one. So that was the best match. But just hanging out with Jake O'Connor in the booth, and all the just happened to go through the interesting matches as well as the uninteresting ones. We have to show the same sort of enthusiasm for that awesome match you played against humans, and for Boggles versus Merfolk, and just learning all the challenges of coverage and how to set him up for a question, have him hit the softball that I throw, or maybe one of us will stumble through one part of it, and you have to kind of just save face, and it's just sweet.
Okay, cool.
I don't know, it was just a really, really good time. But your match was awesome.
All right, nice.
So Kurapika 1300, who is currently in the chat, thinks that the flash card, I believe it's a 3/3 for 2 colorless, blue and a white.
Yep.
That
card's
sweet. That gives historic spells flash is pretty good. Now historic spells are artifacts, legendary permanents, and
Sagas?
sagas.
Yeah, sagas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sagas basically the new thing that we'll be covering next week, and definitely the week after, right before Dominaria comes out. Saga, I mean, it's never really been a card like Saga, as it's an enchantment, but
It's like a permanent with level up.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like
It's kind of like a planeswalker where you're locked into the abilities. So like a
you don't
demonic
you
pact
don't
kind of
yeah
card.
exactly.
Yeah,
It reminds me
Demonic
of
Pact,
Demonic Pact, but the whole thing is with Demonic Pact,
Yeah,
at
that's
the end
certainly-
you lose the game. With the Saga cards, you don't lose the game. What happens is they just go away.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you do have any cool interactions with your standard deck or modern deck or even commander, whatever the case may be,
They could
where you
also-
can bring back these sagas.
Yeah.
That could be something pretty cool where you're
Yeah.
returning your enchantments. Maybe
And-
a little Auramancer action right there.
Who knows? Maybe we'll see a Saga that has 2 broken abilities and then says you lose the game as the third thing.
We'll see. Not all the cards are out yet.
Yeah.
So
I could see that white saga being really good with that blue-white flash creature.
Sounds like we'll talk about that next week. Save it.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we still have. I guess we're
Well,
talking until we find out who won this.
yeah, exactly.
Ah,
And,
So
we have a couple more writers really quick. All right, we have Corey Woodring. Corey Woodring says, at Brad Bonin. All right?
Ooh.
Brad, we know you're going to play the RPTQ this weekend. And what is the best way to prepare? I've been doing some leagues on Magic Online, but is there any other way to learn how to play Sealed?
Read articles from people better than you and try to crowdsource your friends that play Limited a lot. So I have my friend Lucas.
That's
the
what
guy
I did.
who
I
works
got
at the
the I
store.
got the Lucas code.
He has a 76% win rate in Rivals Sealed, including like 3 PTQs and
We
4
want to know
mocks.
what is his Magic Online rating, because Josh Taylor had a 1980 rating, and he took a screenshot and sent it to me.
He right now I think it's only like 1900, but
Okay.
he's
Through
been
Ixalan Limited season, he's up to 1980.
You know what? He went from M25. He went 41-1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
he would have
okay.
been 19. That's pretty.
That's absurd.
Yeah,
That's
he,
absurd.
He showed Mike
Yeah.
Sigris because he's friends with Siggy from way back in the day.
Yeah.
And Siggy was impressed. And Siggy's like one of the best limited players.
I
out there.
used to be
Yeah, I mean that's
yeah, so-
unbelievably
so-
impressive.
Yeah.
just set reviews from players better than you, whether they're in person or online would be my,
So,
my
we
answer.
do have the giveaway
Also
winner.
practice,
Yeah,
obviously.
we have a winner. So the winner this week is Rob Caster Mage 13, and I believe he won. Is it
But box of
a
Masters 25.
box of Masters 25?
Wow, that's crazy.
That's pretty
That's
good.
a pretty
That's like
nice
the-
deal.
That's like literally the best thing you could win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even
Yeah.
if you win HQ trivia, you're only winning like $7. Here, you're winning a $200 box
Yeah.
of Masters 25, which is crazy.
Yo, I can
Yeah.
never win HQ trivia. I got to question 10 the other day.
Okay, that's pretty good.
The other thing that we want everybody to remember is that I believe that Bearded Dragon still has Masters 25 boxes for sale on our website.
Yeah, they do. Really good
And
deals.
pre-sale Dominaria boxes for $84.99.
Yeah,
That's a
That's
good
pretty
deal.
good.
But
deal.
what I'm excited about
So that's-
is that they're having another IQ
Next
$2,000 IQ this upcoming week,
Sunday.
this Sunday. We had 107 players last time. If we break 107 players, obviously going to be free pizza
Yeah.
for everybody.
That's-
You could get like 3 slices if you're hungry.
I don't know about all that, but we'll certainly make it worth your while the same way we always do.
Yeah, so
With pizza.
with,
Yeah.
with pizza.
Yeah,
you know?
pizza's the best.
Pizza,
Yeah.
good competition,
We love pizza.
good gaming space, good prizes.
Yeah. Prizes paid all the way down to top 16.
There's
so
really
it's really
nothing
cool.
bad about this store
Yeah, I
at
agree.
all.
The only bad thing is you gotta leave.
Yeah,
some
sometimes
point.
you gotta leave.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Kev-
I sleep in the other
Yeah,
room.
Kevin doesn't leave. He just
Kevin
he just
actually
here.
sleeps like on the floor here sometimes.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kevin
yeah.
lives here.
Yeah, he has like a Harry Potter room under the stairs.
Yeah.
You know, like a
It's just wall to wall with like the posters from like Concept Arceus, all the Jeskai
Yeah.
posters. Just
Yeah. He has a Monastery Mentor plush that he just like chills with.
His carpet is just playmats.
yeah.
They're all
Well-
Mantis Rider. There isn't even a Mantis Rider playmat. Kevin found it.
No, I just made a Manus Rider like in Hey Arnold. When you open up the closet, it's like
Oh,
the
yeah,
shrine
yeah,
to
the-
Arnold that Helga made. I just made a Manus Rider out of like
Well, you
play
only
mats
made
and
the
chunks
Mantis,
of
right?
cardboard.
You only
and-
made the Mantis because you just
Are we
sit
still
on it
on?
and ride
What is
it.
going on?
Yeah, so
Jake,
guys, all right, everyone, this has been a great show. Thank you guys for joining us to talk about Modern. For Gerard Fabiano, Kevin Jones, and Brad Bonin, I'm Jacob Van Lunen. See you guys next